Now comes my replay of President Obama's interview with Tyler Cohen. Brian Tyler Cohen is a podcaster, YouTuber, pretty significant on the far left among progressives. He's interviewed a lot of people, including Joe Biden and pretty much every progressive out there. A couple of people who aren't progressive, like John Fetterman. You may not have heard of him. He's exclusively on YouTube and podcasting, but among young progressives, he's a force. He's not Joe Rogan big, or he's not the Pod Bros big, but he's big. So I'm flying back from D.C. to California on Saturday night. A very rough flight, maybe the roughest flight I've had in 30 years. I don't know what's going on the weather patterns on Saturday night, but I see this interview pop up, and it's Barack Obama breaks his silence with Brian Tyler Cohen. And it's 45 minutes long, so I'm going to watch it. And I start to watch it, and I stop 10 minutes in, and I say, I wonder if he's going to get asked anything about Iran, because they just had this massacre. I don't know when they taped it. Maybe they taped it 6 weeks ago, but I'm not sure. Eventually, he refers to Bad Bunny, so the halftime performance with high praise, so I know they've taped it in the last week. So he could have brought up Iran. And I don't know what Cohen agreed to ask or not ask, but he didn't ask a single tough question. I want to review it, though, in real time with you, so I can comment in real time how you ought to understand it, because it's vintage Obama saying nothing at great length, sounding, quote, deep. He's not deep. Sounding like an oracle. He's not an oracle. He's actually kind of out of it. At 64 years old, he's not in touch as he used to be, and he admits that. But let's get started with the interview from Saturday night.
It is my honor to be joined by the 44th President of the United States, Barack Obama. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining me.
It is wonderful to be here, Brian. Thank you for having me.
So as you know better than anybody, the discourse has devolved into a level of cruelty that we haven't seen before. What was disqualifying just a few years ago now not only feels fine, acceptable, but actually rewarded. You have administration officials saying that the victims of ISIS aggression are domestic terrorists. You have J.D. Vance coming out and saying that it's okay. You don't have to apologize for being white. Just days ago, Donald Trump put a picture of your face on an ape's body. And so again, this is kind of, we've seen the de-evolution of the discourse. How do we come back from the place that we have fallen into?
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that the majority of the American people find this behavior deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction. But, as I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country, you meet people. They still believe in decency, courtesy, kindness, and there's this sort of clown show that's happening in social media and on television, and what is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this among people who used to feel like you had to have some sort of decorum and a sense of propriety and respect for the office, right? So that's
stop right there. I mean, right there, I kind of stood up, because I don't forget stuff. That's one of my superpowers. His superpower is to say nothing at great length, somewhat eloquently, with no specifics. My superpower is to remember stuff. I remember Barack Obama saying, we've got to get to those people in flyover country who are bitterly clinging to their guns and their Bible. All right. I remember how he dismissed half the country about that. I remember before Election Day how he gave the finger to John McCain, rather slyly, just kind of scratching the side of his face. I remember that very, very well. I remember his attack on the Cambridge police with Henry Gates, and that led to the beer summit. I remember targeting the Tea Parties. I remember you didn't build that. I remember in 2012 when Henry Reid said Mitt Romney didn't pay any taxes, which was an absolute lie. Obama said nothing. I remember during the 2015 election, in the State of the Union address, his acknowledging Republican applause, courtesy said, I won both of those elections, in their face. I remember his attacking the Supreme Court for Citizens United, wrongly, not understanding it. I remember the recess appointments were unconstitutional, DACA, which was unconstitutional, the pen and the phone comment. I remember that he launched Russia, Russia, Russia. He did. And I remember the lawlessness, the Clean Power Plan, the WOTUS rule, all sorts of stuff. I wrote the book, The Brief Against Obama, after one term. I remember it all. And this is all nonsense. And it gets worse. Don't go anywhere because it goes for 45 minutes. I probably won't get it all. I want you to watch it, but I want you to watch it with memory of the fact he was maybe the most divisive president in history until Trump came along. Biden wasn't divisive. He was just not there. And he said nothing about Biden, by the way, when the country was being essentially run by committee, not by the president. Then he stabbed Biden in the back. He shoved Biden overboard for Hillary. He's a ruthless political player, and he's standing there like, oh, I'm a nice guy. Nonsense.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.